A quest is defined as a long or arduous search for something. For me, that definition also fits the word college. I've always been told that college is where you go to find yourself, to get an education, to further yourself. It's where you find out who you truly are, where you find your true friends, your purpose in life, and your passions. As a freshman at Mississippi State, I've only just begun my quest, but I've already started to kind of find my place in life. I'm trying to figure out who I am, where I'm meant to be. Over freshman year, I've decided that I'm going to be a labor and delivery nurse, and I've already made friendships that I know are going to last a lifetime. I'm actually going to room with one of the girls that I met in line for Chick-fil-A of all places for next year. This semester in Quest, we've discussed many different aspects of different periods of art, literature, and music, history. We've discussed things from Baroque to realism to Shakespeare to civil rights movements, feminism movement, and even more than that. The period that we've talked about recently that most resonated with me, aside from feminist movements, was postmodernism. So that is really a more recent movement than any of the ones that we've discussed before. It's probably the closest to modern times that we've discussed. And so it took place in the late 1900s, and it's responsible for some of the most well-known art today, such as Andy Warhol's works, Paul Cézanne. And so as far as art goes, postmodernism was kind of defined as rejecting the norms of the past. And so it's on increase in abstract, bold, bright colors, just new things, less structure than before. And so it was a lot more radical. It was time for people to express themselves. You could create anything you liked. It was actually characterized by a phrase, anything goes. And so you could do something just because it made you happy. And so I think that's a good lesson to take into account when finding your way in life, because you're always told, do something that makes you happy. Don't just do it because you think it's practical. And so I've been trying to do that too. I think that being a labor and delivery nurse, for me personally, is going to be really fulfilling. So one of the most famous postmodern artists, as I've mentioned, is Andy Warhol. He was born in 1928, and he is most known for doing silkscreen prints and pop art. So he worked in the pop art movement. One of his more famous pieces is the Campbell Soups. So it's like a big canvas with different panels with Campbell Soups printed all over it. And another one, probably better known, I don't know if people really know that it's his work as well as maybe the Campbell Soup, but the Marilyn Monroe paintings, where it's different panels and different bright colors and backgrounds, called the Marilyn Diptych. And that's the piece that I kind of chose to model my project after. So instead of Marilyn Monroe, I chose to paint Harry Styles. He is a former member of the band One Direction, and he has started to kind of rise to fame as a solo artist. He has 2 albums. The first one was self-titled Harry Styles, and his second album came out this December, Fine Line. And so I chose to paint him because he makes me happy. Whenever I have a bad day or I feel stressed from school, from our current situation, I can turn on his music and kind of pull myself out of the funk. And so he just brings joy to everyone I know that loves him. And I've actually been a fan since I was in 5th grade. That's 8 years. And that was when One Direction was just starting out, kind of rising to fame. So it's just great to be able to have that constant source of joy. And fun fact, this summer actually marks 10 years since One Direction formed. So another reason I decided to paint was I was in talented art for 8 years in grade school, and I kept up with it all the way through senior year. I started in 5th grade, ironically the same year I started as a fan of One Direction. And painting is another thing that brings me joy. In fact, I've actually considered majoring in the arts before, but personally I've decided that, again, being a labor and delivery nurse would be a more fulfilling career for me personally. So in this piece, I separated my canvas into 4 different panels. I separated it using masking tape, or painter's tape, and so they each had a color: blue, orange, red or pink, and green. And I've used acrylic paint, and I kind of mimicked Andy Warhol's pop art techniques with the Marilyn Monroe painting, so it's different colored panels, and I actually used a monochrome style besides the shirt. And so I've never painted like that before in my 8 or 9 years of doing paintings, which was really fun to try something new for me. And so that's another thing that you do with your quest, right? You find your place in life, but in order to do that, you have to try new things. So, in conclusion, a quest is a search for something. For me, it's a search for my purpose in life. College is a big step that I'm taking towards finding that purpose. And so this semester we've covered many different things, different histories, arts, literatures, plays, social movements, things like that. And so they have all related to my personal quest in many different ways, but I really liked the postmodern movement. It really stood out to me because, it's about doing what makes you happy. And so it's also about branching out, trying new things, and at the point that I'm at right now as a freshman in college, that's exactly what I'm doing.